death of former President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday in London could reshape politics in the North, where he commanded a cult-like followership in his lifetime. Already there are speculations that his followers, particularly those from the now-defunct Congress for Progressive Change, the party he founded back in 2009, may all defect to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Well, the searchlight is also being beamed on who would step into his position as the North's political leader. APC Chieftain Dr. George Agbakahi joins us now to discuss Northern politics in the aftermath of Buhari's death, how a possible CPC bloc's pullout from the APC merger will affect the APC in 2027, also examining the likely impact of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's resignation from PDP and the chances for the coalition creating another upset in 2027. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate.
Well, with the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, leaving a bit of a vacuum in Northern politics, from your perspective as an APC chieftain, how will the party rejig their base and retain the loyalty of his significant voter base? What strategies could be put in place to consolidate Northern support for 2027?
Thank you again for having me. Let me start, first of all, by commiserating with the family of our former president, as well as the president of this great country, for the passing of former President Buhari. May the Almighty God accept his illustrious soul. President Buhari was a great man who played a prominent role in the social, economic, and political development of this country. Now, and apart from that, I also want to applaud our president for the way and manner himself and the entire administration, handled the funeral of President Buhari. It shows a lot of respect. That was a great one. In respect of your second question, well, President Muhammad Buhari is gone, but I believe his legacies, will still remain. I'm quite aware, just like every other Nigerians, that President Buhari, loves APC as a party, and that there is no doubt that many of his followers will follow his footsteps. Around 2013, 2014, during the formation of APC, and I sincerely believe that President Buhari himself had a symbiotic relationship with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I think his followers, irrespective of what is happening currently in the political space, majority of his followers will still remain in APC, and APC, by God's grace, will still win the 2027 presidential election. You see, in politics, there are many variables and elements you take into consideration. Mind you, the opposition party you're talking about, or the ADC, there is no unity in that party. And secondly, they are still the same people. It's like you having an old wine and putting it in a new bottle. The Nigerian people already know the actors in ADC. They are the same, no matter the nature of rebranding, no matter the nature of repackaging. The Nigerian people know them. They know their antecedent. And I don't think there is any difference. APC will still win this election, particularly taking into consideration the track record of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his track record in Lagos, his track record as president of this great country. The president has done a whole lot to improve the well-being of generality of Nigerians. Most of the policies and the initiatives that he has put in place, they are now working. We know it takes time. They are not working as we speak. The obliteration of the fuel subsidy, as well as the unification of the exchange rate, to me, is one of the best things that has ever happened to this country. All these people you are calling about that are in ADC, starting from Atiku onwards, they all believed, even P2B, they all believed that the removal of the exchange rate, the unification of the exchange rate, as well as the extrication, of the fuel subsidy is something that has to be done. Even President Muhammad Buhari assured to it, although he was not able to, get rid of it. But President Tinubu, being a very courageous individual, he knows what it takes to get rid of this. That's why he was able to remove it. It was tough earlier, but the policies, the initiatives are now coming in place. They are working. There is no doubt with what is going on, the political realignment, the president and APC will win the election. Definitely there has to be a realignment in APC. That is the truth. That is why we are looking at who will take over as the national chairman of the party. The person that will take over as national chairman of the party has a prominent role to play in bringing the party together.
Well, I'd like us to go back to the topic at hand, which is the death of Buhari and the influence it's likely to have on the northern region of the country. Do you foresee another individual emerging as the North's rallying figure after Buhari? And what sort of qualities or characteristics do you think such person would need to be able to unite the people of the North?
Well, to me, based on former President Buhari's, pedigree and what he stood for, I think it will be very difficult to have a northerner that will instantly replace President Buhari. President Buhari, to me, can only be compared to Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, in the First Republic. President Buhari is one that commands, the trust and respect of the masses and also of the political leadership of this great country. He's somebody that embodies, certain virtues such as selflessness, honesty, trustworthy. So these are some of the attributes that we'll be looking at the next person that will replace President Muhammad Buhari. But in all honesty, the person that is close, to Buhari, actually, is Senator Kwankwaso, the former governor of Kano State. The only difference is that his popularity is limited to Kano State, just like we had, former Malam Aminu Kano. His own is limited to Kano State and, of course, some part of Jigawa State. But Buhari's own is more general, the entire North. That's why he consistently had that 12 million votes. So I don't really see any person that will replace him, at the moment. But the deal is this. President Buhari was a member of APC. Most of his lieutenants, I believe, will still be with APC. And there is no doubt APC will win the election. Majority of the North will still vote for APC.
And speaking of some of Buhari's lieutenants, the CPC, if a significant portion of the CPC were to withdraw, as it's rumored, from the APC, do you anticipate that there would, what do you anticipate would happen long-term and short-term for the party's strength and electoral prospects for 2027, especially, in the northern states where the CPC had more of a stronghold?
Politics is all about interest, and the CPC bloc of APC you are talking about, there has not been any indication yet that they are departing from APC. I remember sometime January or February of this year, there were a little bit of political skirmishes amongst members of the CPC bloc. But eventually it was resolved amicably. I remember the former governor of, was it Nasarawa State? Senator Al Makura, who to me is now probably the head of the CPC bloc. He was able to reach out to the, to the faction of CPC that intended to move away, and they did not move away. I do not think they will move away. I heard the former Minister of Aviation, Siraki, spoke, I think, 2 days ago, and he maintained that CPC bloc will still remain and be part of APC. So I don't really see, any division actually, among the CPC, bloc in respect of their continued, stay in APC.
Well, I'd like us to talk a bit about Atiku's resignation from the PDP and the new coalition as well. How do you think these two factors will impact the broader political landscape in Nigeria, especially in terms of party realignment and alliances?
Well, Atiku's resignation from PDP is something that he's supposed to have done long ago. He was marginally a member of PDP, for the past 1 year or thereabout, since he lost the last election. And the truth is this: PDP as a party is dead. PDP is dead. Labour Party as a party is also going through a lot of problems. That's why you see all of them converging to ADC. But the truth remains that, like I said earlier, they are still the same. Whether they are changing nomenclature, whether they are changing party, it's still the same old wine being put in a new bottle. There is no amount of fabrication, repackaging, rehabilitation. We all know who they are. The Nigerian masses cannot be fooled. Who doesn't know who Atiku is? Who doesn't know who Amechi is? Who does not know who El-Rufai is? These are all well-known people in the country. The truth remains that the core substance or essence of this coalition, it remains the same. There is no difference. So whether they are in this party or they are in that party, we all know who they are, and they will lose. The ADC you are talking about, there is already political feud. These are the people that the only objective, the only agenda they have is to extricate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from power. They do not have any agenda. And how can you extricate somebody that is doing a good job for the country? Now, even in ADC you are talking about, Peter Obi is there trying to run for president. Amechi is there trying to run for president. Atiku is there trying to run for president. Look at in 2013, during the formation of APC, you see that homogeneity. You know what I'm talking about? You see that unity, in APC. That is how parties merge and win an election. You don't win an election where there is disunity. I remember, somebody took them to court, in respect of Arabasola, who is the secretary. Is that how they're going to win the election? They are not united. They don't have anything new to prove to Nigerians. So they cannot win the election. That is the truth.
Well, what makes the politicians in the APC any different from politicians in any party, really? It's just the same people that seized power from PDP. Now they're all reconvening and regurgitating, recycling themselves into a coalition party. What makes any of these parties different from the other?
Well, the individuals are totally different.
No, it's the same
President
individuals.
Tinubu,
It's the same individuals that go from party to party.
No,
year.
he's not. He's not the same individual. President Tinubu has always been in the opposition. Do you remember? He has always been in the opposition.
Apart from
until
Tinubu.
In 2020, so many of them. Listen, let me tell you. Politics, like I said earlier on, is all about interest. But the deal is this. The APC government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing a whole lot to fulfill the aspirations of Nigerians. These other people we are talking about, why did El-Rufai leave? El-Rufai left APC because he did not get a minister. And he did not get a minister was not the fault of President Tinubu. You remember vividly his name was sent to the Senate before, due to some, security reasons. He was not approved for him to be a minister. What of Amechi? Amechi, his anger is because he did not win the nomination to become president of this country. Didn't he run, for presidency with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? They need to learn how to be good sportsmen. If you run an election and lose, you move on and work with the incumbent for the betterment of this country. If you dare love this country, that is the best way to do it. Not when you lose an election and you're running helter-skelter all over the country to dethrone the incumbent. That is not the way to do. These are all the same people. And more importantly, let me ask you, what is their relevance in the current political landscape? What is Atiku's relevance? What is Amechi's relevance? What is El-Rufai's relevance in respect of their own domain? I can bet you Amechi may not even win an election in the Ikwere Port Harcourt area of Rivers State. So that is what you see. And let me tell you something. Politics. There has also been a lot of realignment in APC. There has been some very lofty defections. The governor of Akwa Ibom is now in APC. The governor of Delta is now in APC. And some more may be coming. So the president may not even need to get a huge chunk of votes, in the north to win this election. Because if you check the result of the last election, Peter Obi got almost the whole votes in the southeast and also did well in the south-south. But now, with APC having the governor of Delta, having the governor of Akwa Ibom, and even in River State, see what is going on there. APC will do very well in these states and may not need a whole lot of votes to win. Yes.
I'm still going to ask you again, what makes politicians in the APC different from the rest? Is it that their values, their ideology, or their policies, is it that they differ? Is Nigeria of today better than Nigeria of the PDP years?
Of course, Nigeria of today is a lot better than Nigeria of the PDP years. Look at some of the initiatives that the current president has put in place. During the PDP years, did you ever hear about student loan? No, let's be sincere. The president has put a lot of smiles on the faces of Nigerian parents. In the history of Nigeria, apart from the student loan that is related to the tertiary institutions, vocational and technical institutions currently are free. People are going in there to learn carpentry, to learn welding. It's free of charge. Look at the CNG, compressed natural gas. Look at the electric vehicles. Did we have this during the PDP years? We didn't have this during the PDP years. There are a whole lot that this president has done, for the betterment of this country. And I can bet you, Those his track record.
What about the fact that
is a major variable for him to win the election?
What about the fact that more Nigerians are now living in multidimensional poverty than in the PDP days? How do we explain that?
Oh, come on, lady. You know the reason for that. It's because of the extrication of the fuel subsidy and the unification of the exchange rate, which I have adduced to you earlier on, that President Obasanjo, President Yaradua, President Goodluck Jonathan, and President Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory, they all knew that it was vital to remove all these subsidies. They all knew. We were just having an artificial economy during these, years of other presidents. President Tinubu came in and looked at it and found out that that's just the best way to go. He even said it, that it will be tough. It will be tough. But now, it is easing up. Truly, it is easing up. That's why you have all these initiatives. Look at the Bank of Industry. Look at the Bank of Agriculture. 200 billion naira have been brought by the Bank of Industry, for small and medium enterprises in this country. They're all benefiting from it. Look at the youth fund. The youth fund of about 100 billion naira. Many youths are taking advantage of all this. So that is difference. There is no way you can compare the PDP years and this current administration. No. It's not doable. You cannot do that.
Then why did President Tinubu at the time and the other APC members and a few others strongly oppose President Goodluck Jonathan's removal of the subsidies back in January of 2012 that led to those mass protests? It seems like it's a double standard now.
No. All along, President Tinubu had believed that the fuel subsidy and the multiple exchange rate, it was a bad policy. And that particular element that you're talking about, it wasn't the major element that ousted President Goodluck Jonathan from office. Mind you, during President Jonathan's era, towards the tail end, Boko Haram was holding 17 local governments in the northeast, in Yobe, in Adamawa, and in Borno. That's one of the major factors, inherent factors, that obliterated President Jonathan from office. So you cannot compare. Look at the road network that is going on under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Look at the Calabar Coastal Highway through Lagos. Is it not a great one? Look at the one from Lagos to Sokoto. Right. Crossing about 6 states. And the good thing is that...
Dr. Agbakahi, I have to ask you this question again. Why then, back in 2012, were the APC and Tinubu's supporters so opposed to President Goodluck Jonathan's removal of the subsidies, which caused such an uproar and protests, only to turn around years later and do the same thing and expect everyone to be okay with it?
I've just told you, let me say it again. That wasn't the major reason why Jonathan left. It wasn't the major reason. And this opposition you're talking about,
her question is not the reason why Dr. Goodluck Jonathan was ousted from office. The question is why this administration that was in opposition at that time opposed to the removal of fuel subsidy, only to turn around years later and do the same while expecting Nigerians to support them despite the hardship.
But you know very well that in 2012, APC had not been formed. So if you are talking of individuals, it's okay, but APC as a party, since formation, never opposed, removal of fuel subsidy. That's one of the priority of APC, to get rid of the fuel subsidy and unify the exchange rate, because it was a mess. That's why you see somebody like Emefiele where he is today. There are so many of them. How can you be in a country where people work hard and you see somebody will go to NNPC due to your connection, you get just a little paper, and you come out of the gate and sell it? People go to CBN and get money, get paper, and go right back to Amausa and sell it and make money. Those are the things President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stopped. If he was a corrupt man, listen, if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a corrupt man, he would have left it like that.
But couldn't he have supported Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to do the same at that time? Couldn't he have supported Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to do the same at that time? Was that an impossible thing to think of?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There was never a time that I know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu never supported removal of fuel subsidy. You may talk about some members of the coalition prior to the formation of APC, then I agree with you. But for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, he has never supported this fuel subsidy. He was opposed to it.
Well, Dr. George Agbakahi, APC Chieftain, thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.